power!
Amiibo have always been one of the cornerstones of this channel. From day one, we've brought you Amiibo news, Amiibo fighting tournaments, and even a series of amazing Amiibo customizations. But today, I want to bring you something a little different. To celebrate 5 years since the launch of Amiibo, we're going to take a look back at what made the little toys so special in our new series, Amiibo Anthology. Now, on each episode, we're going to take a look back at a specific time frame in the life of Amiibo. So, what better way to kick off the series than take a look back at the announcement and launch of Amiibo all the way back in 2014. Let's take a look. E3 2014. It was jam-packed with announcement after announcement from Nintendo. We got a detailed look at the upcoming Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS, and we even got our very first look at a brand new game that was essentially going to be The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But after only 2 minutes in this presentation, the amazing, the late Satoru Iwata and the former president of Nintendo of America, Reggie Fils-Aimé, battled it out in one of my favorite Nintendo memories ever. Now, after the two Nintendo giants duked it out in real life, Mr. Iwata blew my mind by pulling out a tiny figure of Mario and tapping it onto the Wii U gamepad, essentially giving us our very first look at Amiibo. Now, as the presentation continued, Reggie Fils-Aimé gave us an in-depth look at what Amiibo would essentially do.
While I've changed out of my Fire Flower suit for now, Mario is still close to my heart. You may recognize this as what Mr. Iwata used earlier to defeat my Mii Fighter in Super Smash Bros.
Simply tap an Amiibo onto the NFC touchpad on the Wii U and magic would happen. Now, a majority of the functionality was confirmed to be for Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS, but Reggie also confirmed that existing Wii U titles would be receiving updates to work with Amiibo as well, including Mario Kart 8. And on a side note, if you take a look at the graphic they show, we get our very first look at a Mario Amiibo that wouldn't be released for almost a year after this video first came out, which is kind of amazing in its own right. So after a brief look at the Mario Amiibo and some basic functionality explained, Reggie told us to wait a little longer for an in-depth look at Amiibo from Nintendo Treehouse legend Bill Trinen.
I'm guessing you've got a lot of questions, but there's much more to cover in this digital event today. So I'm going to ask you to do this. When we're done here, at any time you can catch Nintendo of America's own Bill Trinen, who's hosting a dedicated Amiibo video that goes into a little more detail.
And lucky for us, immediately after the E3 presentation, a 5-minute video detailing the release and functionality, and even part of the initial lineup, was released. Now, in this video, we get to take a look at 10 of the 12 figures that would be launching alongside Super Smash Bros. For Wii U in November. And we also got our very first look at the 3DS adapter that was coming out that would allow you to use Amiibo on the 3DS. Now, during the digital presentation at E3, we only got our very first look at the Mario Amiibo, but like I said before, in this presentation, we got to see 10. We had Villager, Pikachu, Donkey Kong, Mario, Link, Wii Fit Trainer, Peach, Samus, Yoshi, and Kirby. Now, overall, the figures shown in this video were pretty close to the final versions we got in November. Now, the biggest changes were the supports that held each of these Amiibo up. In the prototypes, we got these really nice, elegant, clear plastic sticks. But if I had to guess, Nintendo probably had to swap these out because they were more than likely too fragile. What we ended up getting on the physical releases when they came out in November were a bit different, they were a bit bulkier, and in the case of Link, much more yellow. But either way, these 10 Amiibo that we got our very first look at all the way back in 2014, they got me ready for just what was to come, and that was an absolute obsession with Amiibo. And as we approached the release date for Smash Bros. On Wii U, Nintendo released a small handful of new videos detailing how figure players, or FPs, would work in Smash 4.
Amiibo!
Alright guys, Link is in.
Well, my girl Peach is in.
I'm ready. DK's in, this is gonna be bananas.
We learned that every time you fight with an FP, it gains experience, becomes stronger and smarter. And of course, the more time you spend investing in training your amiibo, the stronger it's going to become. We also learned that Fox McCloud and Marth would be arriving on launch day alongside the 10 amiibo that were confirmed at E3. And not only that, we also got our very first look at Wave 2 as well, including Captain Falcon, Princess Zelda, Little Mac, Luigi, and even Pit. So it was finally happening. The wait was nearly over, and Super Smash Bros. For Wii U was almost out. And finally, on launch day, all 12 of these amiibo finally hit store shelves, and at first, it didn't seem like it was going to be all that crazy. Now, when I first went in to pick up my copy of Smash 4, the amiibo were still on the shelf, and for the most part, nobody seemed absolutely crazy to pick these things up, but something happened a few days later. A few days after the game came out, the buzz surrounding amiibo just hit a brand new level. People started to realize that some of these amiibo might be more difficult to pick up than others. Figures like Mario and Link were generally pretty easy to come by, but Amiibo fans were about to get their very first encounter with some rare Amiibo, which were inevitably dubbed the Holy Trinity of Amiibo. That's right, the Holy Trinity of Amiibo featured Marth, we had Wii Fit Trainer, and of course, Animal Crossing's Villager. Now, if I had to guess, when Nintendo was in their boardroom deciding how many of each of these amiibo to make, they assumed that people just wouldn't want these 3 amiibo as much as they wanted their classic Nintendo characters, but they very quickly realized that collectors, like myself, want every single one of these things, and it really started a frenzy. Now, at the height of this, some of these amiibo were going for $50 to $75 a piece on eBay. And of course, scalpers found opportunities to clear out stores as quickly as they could. I remember at the height of the amiibo craze, I would go on eBay and find people with stacks and stacks of these amiibo, just selling them for absolutely astounding prices. So more than likely what happened is we had scalpers go from store to store, buy out stocks of rare amiibo, and put them up on eBay, a trend that we would see continue for years to come. Now, many people, myself included, assumed that Nintendo would just make more of these amiibo to meet the demand, but that just never happened, at least not right away. And the scarcity of these 3 amiibo were pretty much there for months and months to come after the fact, and people that wanted a complete collection more than likely either had to get very lucky by visiting a store that wasn't attacked by scalpers, or, unfortunately, like I had to do, pay scalper prices for some of these rare amiibo. But what happened next with amiibo is something that I never could have predicted, and it's something that we're going to cover in depth in this series. Online retailers would sell out almost instantly, there was lines at Toys R Us and Target locations on Amiibo launch days, and Amiibo fever has officially hit America. Now, it's one of these things that I'm really fascinated with, and I can't wait to go into more detail with you as we take a look at Wave 2 and 3 in the next video coming out next week. Thank you for watching our very first episode of Amiibo Anthology. If you like what you saw, let us know, leave a comment down below, or otherwise stay tuned for episode 2, coming out very, very soon. If you're a big fan of Amiibo and you have been since day one, share your favorite memory of Wave 1 down in the comments below. I can't wait to see if you had the same experiences that I did. But until next time, stay wired in. Bye, Amiibo fans.